Now, this is where toxic masculinity comes in.
Oh, let's get into it. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Right. So the whole culture, you know, not like how people are like, yeah, men gonna be alpha and all that. And they see this online, regardless to age. And I don't mean like 20, 30, 40. I mean, all of them.
Yep.
They see all that and they all think in their head they're alpha males. But they forget the definition of being an alpha male, which
What
is...
What is the definition?
Well, go back on primitive days. Okay, well, what was an alpha or what was a male? That is a man who protects the family or the tribe, wherever he comes from, right? His kids, his wife, partners, whatever. Provides, which is go hunt for the food, gets the food home, woman makes the food, feeds everybody, correct? So same goes here. They don't want to provide for you. They don't want to protect you, right? Or make you feel safe. And by safe, I don't mean like financial. I mean, it could be emotional safety, mental safety, physical safety. None of that. But they think, oh, I'm alpha, so you should treat me like I'm an alpha, like I'm a king. I said, no, you can't be a king without a kingdom.
True, I hear that. So I hear what you're saying. I would determine an alpha differently.
Okay.
I'm not saying that a guy who's an alpha can't and shouldn't do those things. Like if he's like, okay, you're the woman I choose, this is the family I have, I completely agree. That's his responsibility, right? Yeah. I would say that an alpha though is someone who has the relationships they want and lives life on their terms. That's what an alpha is. Now that can look like different. That can look different to different people.
True.
Because if you have a guy, for example, if we're talking about men, you might have a guy who maybe he doesn't want a long-term relationship, but he enjoys spending time with women in a more chilled, casual way. So he has that and he has options. And as well as, you know, he has his career or he's doing what he enjoys, right? So he's very much living life on his terms and he doesn't have to really answer to anyone.
That is perfect.
Yes.
But be transparent about it.
So you feel like they weren't serious about it when they got into the relationship?
No, not with me per se, with this example. I would say they were serious. However, the other things that they promised never came into fruition.
Okay.
Like, you know, the guy wants to be married. Okay, married. We need a house for that, right? So let's go house hunting. Yeah, I'm going to go house hunting. We go house hunting. But when it comes to put down the deposit, there's either his card's lost or something's off.
Maybe he's not in the financial position, you know? So it's very difficult for people to...
That's what I mean. Just be honest.
Okay, so here's my question. Him not being in the financial position to do that, would that then turn you off him?
No, but that would not make me, that would make me obviously be more strategic when it comes to going out or doing things with him. Example, like not waste money, for example, right?
Well, that's why you're a foodie, right? That's why he was saying it.
Exactly. So that comes into play, but you got to be honest about everything once you want to be with somebody.
Sure. I think it's different if he's like, oh, I want us to do all these things. Is it something to work towards though? If he's like, okay, I want us to have a house together, but we're just not in a position where we can have that yet, but this is something we can work towards over the next few years.
No, with him, right? The thing was, you pay everything and I just be a bum in the house.
He asked you to pay everything?
No, but he didn't make me pay. I mean, I ended up paying for everything, rent and the flat.
What, his rent or like just like splitting it?
There was no splitting it. He would always say, yeah, next month. And the next month never came.
How long did you do this for?
Nearly a year.
So hold on. So you were paying...
I was paying the rent.
The rent for both of you for almost a year?
Yeah, and the bills and the food.
Okay.
And everything else.
Okay.
And if I ask him to get a job, Irena, you're putting me down.
So wait, he didn't have a job?
No.
Okay, so I'm just curious, not that a job defines a man. What made you choose him in the first place?
Because we were friends for 8 years and I thought he's different, but he was not. I mean, that's one of those things, you know, you think you know people, but until you don't get to stay with them for a time period, spend 24 hours with them, right? You wouldn't know what they are like.
But he had a job in that time, right? If you'd known him.
No, so basically...
Okay. You didn't do your due diligence.
He had his own business, which I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, why? What we used to do that?
Well,
why?
On the front, it was a marketing company, I think.
Okay.
Right. But at the back, there was like there was money laundering and all that stuff going on, which I was not aware of.
So he had a business, then he had a business.
Yeah, he had a business.
Okay.
So I was not aware of all that until I was really deep into in a relationship with him.
Okay.
Right?
This is making more sense now.
Yeah.
So basically, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
When you started, he presented, and at that time he was living a certain life of means.
Yeah, when I knew him, when I got to know him, yes, it was. And he was always like partying, always in tramp every other day, spending like thousands of pounds a night. That did not appeal to me. So back then I never saw him more than social contact, a friend, that's about it.
Okay.
Then I saw him mellow down last few years and I was like, okay, maybe I could consider him because he obviously, he always like makes a beeline. So I was like, okay, let's try. And I did know that he has some issues going on with his business and all that stuff, but I don't know it's this bad. And I don't know the nitty gritty of everything that's going on.
He's not going to tell you the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
on that, did he, because you said you'd known him for 8 years, had he tried it with you before? Did he try and pursue you before?
Well, yes, he had. But there were so many women around him that used to put me off.
What do you mean?
As in, he had this player vibe going on.
Yeah.
Back then, because, the more money you have, the more women, the more...
I would say it definitely attracts a certain type of woman.
Especially if you're like in nightclubs 5 times a week.
Yeah.
It's a different lifestyle. That's not something I want.
Yes.
And I wouldn't expect someone to change that for me because that never goes well when you think that someone's going to change for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I agree.
So I have always thought that we're not on the same page when it comes to what do we want out of a relationship.
Yes.
So I never really looked at him that way before.
Okay.
But I saw a change in him last few years. Obviously, I didn't know the change was because he got raided and everything was taken off him.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
And I didn't know all that. He decided not to tell me all that.
Right. Okay. So essentially the reason you ended up paying the rent and everything is he might have been trying to get that business back up and running.
Yeah, but it's been years. You have not. So how about get a normal job like a normal person?
Yeah.
And even if you can't pay the rent, which is fine. Even if you pay like 2 bills, electricity or water or whatever, at least show me some sort of commitment, right?
I completely agree with you. What I would ask though, I have 2 younger sisters, right? So if you're my younger sister, I'd be like, the moment you knew that he had a business, that kind of business, why would you stay?
You get emotionally attached.
Fair enough. It's very honest. I understand that. If you knew that before, do you think you would have still gone there?
No. If I knew what I knew later, there's no way. I would still have him as a friend. I wouldn't change that. However, there would not be anything romantic.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go into specifics, but I think anything that is on the edge of legality, one moment, and I've seen this happen. I grew up in quite a rough area, so I've seen it happen. One moment, they're high and fly and everything. Yeah. Next moment, they have nothing because, I almost think there's an element of why they spend it so quickly because they're like, well, it could go at any point. Like if it's going to get seized, if all my stuff are going to get seized or raided, well, I better spend it now and enjoy it because maybe eventually it's going to get taken off.
Because my first question to him was, why don't you have a house? If you're spending like 5K, 10K a night in tramp, which he was, why don't you put a deposit in a house, even outside London, a small place? Why wouldn't you do that? He's like, oh, I never thought about it. You could have bought yourself a house.
But I think that would get seized because it was I'm
You're right. It could have. Yeah.
Hypothetically, we don't know what the business was, but hypothetically, if it was illegal substance selling, right, anything that is bought with that money would be seized, right? Could be taken. Whereas if he spends it, well, like they can't seize the alcohol in his system. They can't seize the holiday he's already been on. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So it's funny because it's like, it's not a smart move to just spend your money like that. Yeah. But if you're in that position, it actually kind of is. That's the only kind of move unless you can, make that money clean.
It's true. But then my other question is, now he lives with his mum, right? Mm-hmm. why didn't you get a new house for your mum? You could have done that.
Oh, well, because that would be seized too, and then she'd be out of the street. She'd be out on the street. They take everything. Yes.
Like even if the house is on the mum's name.
Yeah, if they can prove and see that it's been, the money used has been claimed illegally,
right,
they would have every right to seize it. Listen, even when you make good money legally, the government still comes for you.
That's true.
Right?
That is
it's called
true.
tax.
Yeah.
The government still comes for you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think is one thing that men don't understand about women today?
I think men don't understand is different women have different needs.
Say more.
Which means if a man is dating, say, early 20s, their needs, emotional needs, or whatever they need from a man is very different from a woman in the 30s or woman in the 40s.
Sure.
Obviously, it depends on her emotional intelligence and maturity as well.
Maturity as well. I agree. I agree.
But yeah.
Do you think her needs, do you think it's an age thing or do you think it's what she's looking for? So like a lot of young girls in their 20s, maybe they're not looking to like settle down, you know, they might have a relationship if like a great guy comes along, but they're not intentional with it. And then maybe when a woman gets to her 30s or 40s, if it's like, okay, I'm definitely looking to find a partner, then the needs change. Does that make sense?
It does. That, and also when you're younger, like girls in their 20s, and when I was in my early 20s, I would be like, okay, on a specific height, a guy has to look a certain type, you know, all that stuff. Now all that's gone out of the window because at the end of the day, that's not going to last.
Very true.
That's not going to last. And what lasts is obviously how they are, how they treat you.
Yeah.
Right? And the bond you share. That's not going to go anywhere.
Why do you think you learned that later, not then? Because I think a lot of young guys, because most guys struggle.
Yeah.
Right? Most guys really don't get attention from women, right? So when if they're talking to like the young 20-something-year-olds who's like, oh, I want him to make, you know, be this height, be this muscular, make this kind of money and stuff. Guys are like, cool, but that's not going to last you. But obviously girls like, they don't care. It's like, look, live your life, right? Why do you think, at least maybe for you, what did it take for you to realize that?
It took a bad relationship to realize that.
Yeah, that tends to be the case.
Yeah. And then whenever I see successful relationships, marriages of my friends, family, etc.
Yes.
And I see both of them and I see the dynamics. It's got nothing to do with looks. And maybe, some of them initially was attracted, but then it's all about companionship. It's all about respect.
100%.
You know, more than love, it's respect. Because you fall in love, you can fall out of love, and then they make an effort to fall in love with the same person again.
That's right.
You know?
100%.
So it just depends on how you see things, and two people need to be on the same page. You can have different views as long as you agree to disagree and be civil about it.
Yes.
And you know, okay, you have a different view to certain things. I have a different view to certain things, but can we still make it work? It's one of those things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So for you, what would you say was your type before? And then what's something that you are open to now that your 23-year-old self would not have been open to?
Okay, so 23-year-old would want...
what 20-year-old Irina want?
6'2", has to be 6'2".
Okay, wow, not even 6 foot, guys. 6'2", you know, it's gone up. The standards have raised.
Standard was really high back then. 6'2".
Okay.
Muscular, minimum body weight 85 kgs to 90.
Wow, this is specific.
Yeah, very specific. A specific jawline. When I see all my exes back then, they all had like very chiseled jawline.
Okay.
No facial hair.
Okay. I think apart from the jawline, I think I'm ticking those boxes at the moment. I think. But yes, continue.
Yeah, pretty much that. And a nice tan.
Guys, she's just describing me. What is this now? I'm just joking.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.